So if you're deciding whether to get MuseScore or Sibelius for your notation software of choice, I really think that if you're just beginning composing, go ahead and download MuseScore for free. But if you want to expand your creativity and compositional output, then go ahead and buy Sibelius. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Carlos, a composer and music student based in Chicago, and on this channel we explore how to lead more productive lives as composers and musicians. And you just heard my upfront conclusion on this debate, if you will, and that's all because I want to deliver value to you and not waste your time. But if you want to see exactly why I came to this conclusion, then go ahead and stick around for the entire video because I'll give you just that. Now, to test which piece of software is better, I'm going to go ahead and input this 1.5 page violin solo that I composed, and we're going to see which piece of software is a little more intuitive to use and which one is more efficient and getting the job done quicker. Now that's because I'm all about productivity and efficiency, and I do not want a piece of software to be getting in the way of my creative output.
Round 1, Sibelius.
We're starting with my personal music notation software, and that is Sibelius. Now it's been given a bad rap for poor design and an unintuitive user interface, and I kinda agree with that. However, once you get past the steep learning curve that is Sibelius, and then you start using it for hours and hours, you eventually begin to learn that Sibelius is probably the best notation tool on the market in just getting music out efficiently and just having a more productive workflow overall. Now to input notes on Sibelius, I'm going to be using this MIDI controller that I picked up recently, as well as the music that I wrote in my Moleskine music notebook. Links down below for both of them if you want to go pick one up, and I'll get a small kickback from Amazon, so thank you for supporting me. But anyways, on to Sibelius. Hey, welcome back. I am on a different setup right now. My main camera died, and that is just fine. So we're just going to be on my phone here, and we're going to have the screencast here. And basically what we're going to do is start working in Sibelius now. Yeah, so it's going to be really cool. Let's go ahead and do blank. So this is obviously my domain. I kind of know how it works. Very, very familiar to me. So we're going to do solo violin here. Go ahead and add to score. And we're going to work in 4/4. Yeah, all your stuff in the beginning is configured here. And if you want a tempo text, you can add it right here very conveniently. And we are in the key of C, so let's go to no key signature, hit C, and down here we're going to do violin solo just like before, composer, Carlos L. Look how fast we did this. Hit create, and let us go ahead and open it up. Cool thing about Sibelius, you get some customizability things. You get some cool textures if you want in the background. I do enjoy that. I am envious of MuseScore's dark mode feature, and that must come to Sibelius, please. So most of your configuring comes on this this keypad right here, and it works like the ribbon in MuseScore, but usually you have a number pad on your keyboard that controls this. On my case, it's going to be the number row on top of my keyboard because I do not have a keypad on this MacBook Pro. And let us go ahead and start inputting this, and I'll kind of commentate and give you some things I'm thinking of. So let's just go ahead and start inputting it. And a really quick way of doing it, I obviously have this MIDI keyboard here that I'll be using. I'm not too used to using a MIDI keyboard. I've just been using the number row for a long time. And just hitting R a ton of times, and the arrow keys, you can get notes down really fast. But I'm going to start using this keyboard actually, because I just got it. So, and you do not need to hit N to input these MIDI keyboard notes, unlike MuseScore. So, let's do it. Ooh, the numbers on the number row are a little bit different than MuseScore. It's kind of confusing. I'm not used to that right now. I did the wrong thing because there is a thing of music on the top where it's just kind of my idea of the theme, and I accidentally wrote it down. So, like tradition, let's go ahead and fix our mistakes. So, I want to create a second voice down here to create that low A right there, and click the top right here, 3 for 8th note, and we're going to go ahead and input it actually. And we're going to go to our quarter note value here, and then go back to 8th note. Perfect. And we'll add the ties after the fact. Let's just get the notes down. Cool. So now let's just add a quick tie here, And I really should have a shortcut for making those ties. I can, but it is not default with this number row system. Yeah, I'll fix that later. So a cool thing about Sibelius, let's say you do not want this 8th note rest to be here, you can just hit delete and it'll be completely gone. And when you do the print layout, actually, it'll be completely gone. It'll just disappear. So I do like that. So I'm going to actually keep that. Slurs are what I'm excited for. So if I hit S on this voice 1, you see that if I hit the space bar, it automatically goes to the next note. If I click this last node right here and hit space bar or Control Z, it goes to the next note, and it's really convenient. In MuseScore, that did not happen, and I was very disappointed. So slurs are a million times better in Sibelius, and I'm so happy to be back in my home. Let's get a tunuto in there, and we're going to do this slur again, just like that space bar. So convenient. Slurs look so much better in here. We're going to go to time signatures. Now, it's a little bit more simple in MuseScore, I believe. You just have a little bar on the side here where you can drag and drop your time signatures. And here you have to hit T. This is one way of doing it. Hit your time signature and just click in there. And you got to do T again to get back to 4/4 if you need to. Yeah, a little more work involved, but I do not mind. I'm pretty much used to it. So let's go ahead and add some notes in here. We're going to need... Oops, do not need that. Okay, now we're going to need a 16th note. Oops, sorry. Don't do it too fast. And then we're going to need to do dotted quarter note. And then we're going to need to do 2 again. Oops. Oh my gosh, too fast. Perfect. Now we can just copy and paste just like before with R. Not copy and paste, it's actually duplicate with just hitting R. Quite the intervals, huh? Cool. Cool, and then we can just hit 5. Perfect. Okay, a lot easier to use, a little more familiar to me. Slurs are super easy. Like I mentioned, that if you want to just add a slur, then you just have to hit S, and then spacebar goes to the next one. Very simple. Yeah, I just like it. It's a lot easier. I'll just finish out the rest of the excerpt. Okay, what do I have? This needs to be voice 1. Hit voice 1. Perfect. Sibelius is just so easy, isn't it? Sibelius is so stupid, but I don't care. Adding expression text like dolce, adding mezzo piano. It's done by hitting Command E on your keyboard. You have a little thing here. Go ahead and hit Command again and hold it to type your letters. Another way of doing it, let's delete that. Let's go to text up here. We're going to go ahead and hit styles, expression, cursor, same thing. You can right click also and type in or tap your dynamic that you want. So a lot different. If you want to hit Command E again, you can also type dolce, or you can type any of the other suggested ones if you right click them. Very steep learning curve, and of course if you want to start using Sibelius, it's going to be very difficult right away. You can watch tutorials. I have a video on Sibelius tips, all my top ones. Very useful if you want to go through all these shortcuts that I have. Yeah, very, very difficult right away, but once you use Sibelius after a few years and do hundreds of projects, it's going to be super easy, and you're going to be like that. There we go. You're going to just, you're going to get it. It's going to become second nature. So let's just listen to this excerpt. I didn't add all the slurs because I'm lazy, unfortunately. That's good enough. Let's just listen to it. So we have to hit Y and then spacebar. Great. But yeah, so that's about it for Sibelius. Again, just a lot easier to use and just get around just because I'm more used to it. And it's just a lot more powerful and efficient in my opinion. So those are my thoughts. Now on to the new player in the game, MuseScore.
Round 2, MuseScore.
Now this is free notation software that has an impressive online sheet music platform and is really improved really quickly because of its open source software. Now MuseScore is actually one of the first pieces of music notation software that I downloaded, and in fact I actually had MuseScore 2 years before I bought Sibelius. Now I haven't used MuseScore in a few years, so trying to learn the user interface and the controls might be kind of a hot mess, so bear with me, but anyways, let's get into it. Welcome to MuseScore. You probably can't see my whole face, but that's just as much as I can fit in the frame, just my mouth. So let's go ahead and we're going to toy around with this piece of software here. Now on the side of the screen I'm going to have the excerpt of what I'm actually going to be inputting, and then I'm just going to just do line by line, note by note, and just input into the software and see how it works out. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new score. I'm just going to call it Violin Solo. That's all I really need right now. Composer Carlos L. Sure. I'll continue. So I haven't used this in a while, so let's see what's a good. How do I get just a violin? Oh wait, no, I just want a simple. Choose instruments. Wait, okay. So it steals a lot of the design and user interface with Sibelius, like this whole thing here. So I want to look for strings, bowed, violin. Perfect. Continue. And this is in the key of C. So let's do that. Great. 4/4, I think it starts out in, yep. And let's say, I don't remember how many measures it is. Tempo, I believe we just let's do 100. Great. Okay, seems pretty easy so far. I like the dark mode. Sibelius does not have dark mode. That is one of the tragedies. All right, so let's go ahead and start inputting. So I think N is, yes, note input. So let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm using the top row numbers here to change the note values. That's just what I do in Sibelius. So the sound samples are pretty good, actually. Not huge. I'm actually a fan of them. They're not that bad. The MIDI playback is pretty good. Measure 1 has 2 voices technically. The bottom note is holding for a half note. So I need to do a half note value down here, and I need to change it to voice 2 right here. So yes, it does take a ton of cues from Sibelius here. Very similar, almost copying it, and I'm fine with that. But note input is not working for some reason. So I want to figure out why. Tools. What if I can just search MIDI? Preferences. Note input. Maybe? There we go. Just gotta hit N to do it. So this might make our job a little bit easier. Interesting. So when you use your arrow keys in Sibelius, it goes down by a whole step, I believe. In Sibelius, it does chromatically. Not used to that. Not used to that at all. So this second measure here is going to need to be in 3/4. So let's try to find an easy way to change this to a 3/4 bar. Looks like there's a time signatures thing. Just drag it in. Okay, that's actually really easy. That's probably easier than Sibelius. I like that. Cool. So I want to add slurs really easily. So S does work. Spacebar doesn't do anything. This is weird. Okay, I guess we just gotta drag it with our mouse. Okay. That's not what I want to do. This is pretty tricky. Not a huge fan. Because usually with Sibelius, I'm just used to hitting spacebar and it automatically goes to the next note. Okay. Tenuto marking I need on this note right here. Tenuto is gonna be in articulations, right? Yep, there we go. Okay. And these are gonna be tied here. Okay, everything looks a little scrunched together. There's probably ways to space it apart. In Sibelius, my favorite way of moving things is just dragging them, the note heads, and things space apart. Not a huge fan of how things are tightly, crunched together, and there's ways of doing it, but that's too much to think about. That's something I'm not a huge fan of. And yeah, so that's probably it. Let's go ahead and just take a listen to it. That needs to be sharp. Okay. Now, we need a measure of 5/4 next for measure 4. So let's go ahead and grab and drop in. So I do like the drag and drop feature. It's very user friendly. I'll tell you that. So let's input these notes again. I can just repeat it because it's very similar. Yeah, using R works exactly like Sibelius. You can easily duplicate something. Okay, and I'm going to add in all the way up to this E. Okay, there we go. Slurs, yeah, slurs are just so annoying. There's probably a better way of doing it, but I don't really know. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So let's listen to it. Okay, yeah, pretty good. But I really do enjoy the violin sound samples, and the MIDI playback does sound pretty good. Very, very realistic. I like it. So yeah, we are currently on measure 4. So I will come back once I have more substantial things on this, and we'll come back once I have more music inputted, because it's just a matter of inputting a ton of things. Yeah, so I'll come back once I've added a couple more measures. The biggest thing that stood out to me when just writing it out was the slurs. They were very annoying, and I don't like them as much. When I didn't do any dynamics, so let's do that right now. I do like the drag and drop functionality of it. It can be a little finicky, but it's fundamentally different than how Sibelius does it. Sibelius does like text that you actually add on. This is more of just like a drag and drop kind of graphic that goes on top of it. And I do think the customizability is a little more limited in MuseScore. But yeah, formatting is not as great in here either. Playback is a lot faster, because when you use Note Performer 3, which is a video I made on how to make Sibelius more realistic, when you hit the spacebar, it takes a few seconds for it to load, and the playback bar is at 1 second behind, so it's pretty much instant if you hit spacebar here, and wherever the note head is selected, it starts from there. Nothing complicated like in Sibelius, where you have to hit Y to get the playback bar to a certain measure, so it's very, very simple in playback. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with this, but definitely the customizability is limited. So after inputting the excerpt into both MuseScore and Sibelius, it's clear to me that Sibelius is the champion. Now, it's kind of biased. I do think it's good for me to use Sibelius, because I've used MuseScore and NoteFlight and all these other free software, and I've been composing for quite a while compared to the average beginner. So I think if you're just starting out composing and you just want to, get a good feel of it, I wouldn't buy Sibelius or Finale right away. That's a little bit of a leap for where you're at right now. And I really think that if you just download MuseScore and give it a try, and you start doing it for a while, once you reach a point where it starts to limit your creative output and the tools are just not sophisticated enough to get you where you want, and the notational and formatting skills aren't there, then I think you should go ahead and buy Sibelius or Finale. But for beginners, MuseScore has a friendly user interface, and the controls are pretty easy to use, and of course, it is free. Now, if you decide to get Sibelius, it is paid software where you can pay monthly, or I believe there's a perpetual license where you can buy it all in one purchase. But there's also a student discount that you can get where you can have Sibelius for, I think, under $10 a month, which is what I did. Well, what do you think? Go ahead and leave your comments or questions down below, and I'll try to answer them, and we can start a discussion. Now, I got a composing career playlist on getting commissioned, performed, and other parts of the composing world, so if you're interested, go ahead and check out that playlist. I've also got a video on making Sibelius sound more realistic during playback, so if you're deciding to get into the Sibelius world, you have to check out this video. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and keep writing.